Hi everybody, my name is Terry Sproul and I'd like to welcome you to my studio. Tonight again is our Tuesday night live show here on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome and thank you for joining me. If you are not joining me live, give me a thumbs up so I get some good ratings on Google and we can keep doing these. Tonight we're going to continue in the art journal. But I've decided that next week, I'm getting a lot of questions about paint. I'm going to do a whole class on paint and what the difference are next week, okay? So we're going to take a break from the art journal next week and get into total paints. So hopefully that'll answer a lot of your questions that you're having. So try to do your best tonight. Also, I'm by myself tonight. No Joe. Joe is getting ready to go to Stamp Away. It's a big stamp show, and he's got a lot of students, and he's leaving at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so he's packing the truck to get ready to go. So that's why I'm on my own. So if you do have a question, put your questions in caps, and I will do my best to find them and see them. But be patient with me, and if it's a question about paint, hold on till next week. I think you'll get a lot out of my class next week. Okay, changing cameras. Okay, oh, turning logo off. There we go. Okay, I started off with my page painted black with gesso. And I'm going to talk a little bit about gesso tonight, but again, I'm going to get majorly into paints next week. Gesso, as far as I know, comes in 3 colors. It could come in other colors, but honestly, I only know of 3. One is black gesso, and Golden makes it, Liquitex makes it. I'm sure you can get it at Walmart, that kind of places. Clear gesso. And this one's from Liquitex. I use this one a lot, believe it or not. And the last one is white gesso. And you're going to laugh when you see how big my white gesso is. Here's my white gesso. And this is Artist Loft white acrylic gesso. This one is the brand that they have from Michaels. So it's a little cheaper, so I buy the big one as you see here and keep that around. You can water gesso down because it can kind of get thick sometimes, so you can add water. Like mine's getting down to the bottom, this one right here. So it did get thick on me the other day, so I did have to add a little water to it. When it starts getting thick, that's about perfect again, but it can get thick. That's the only bad part about it, having such a big container. But I use a lot of gesso, so. Now, tonight we're working, I had 2 requests. I had black gesso as a request, and I had high flows as a request. People wanting to know about those 2 subjects. So I'm going to try to combine the 2 of them. I did, prior to you get here, paint my background with my black gesso in advance. If you are using a journal that has stitching here, you might want to, if you're going to use the high flows, to tape it, because the high flows you're going to use a lot of water with, so it can go into your crease. Now, most of you know I use the Cottonwood art journals. See that? Cottonwood art journals. Love these journals. Have no problem at all with anything leaking through them. The pages are really nice and thick. I just adore these journals. I can't say enough about them. They lie flat. You know, they're really awesome. They have a great cover. Eventually, I will make that cover pretty. It's always the last thing I do. It comes in a couple different sizes, and you can get it either at cottonwoodarts.com or you can get them at Dick Blick's under, again, Cottonwood Arts journals. Now again, I don't have anybody here tonight putting down all the links, so be patient and I will do my best to get them on my blog really soon. Yes, we're definitely going to do the high flows. They're fun. Actually, it was Danielle who actually requested that. Okay, now I've done a couple things with the high flows in the past, and I want to show you a couple examples. This is actually the high flows in the background, and this one is actually high flows in the background. So they are a lot of fun to work with, but those are the only two that I've done in this particular journal. This is the exact same journal, but I put a pretty cover on it, see? So when I'm all done, I always make the covers pretty. Here's another canvas, happens to be right in my studio. This is done with high flows. But this is all starting with white in the background. Oh, good, Daniel. You're going to love me because I just got the package today for the design team for Sin City, and we are getting the most awesome product from Cottonwood. This is what my design team is getting. These in a bunch of different sizes. Love the box we got today. I'm so excited. So, okay. Now, high flows are a newer paint that just came out from Golden. And I'm going to bring them up close to show you them. Hopefully it'll become less blurry here in a second. Come on. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is one of them. And over on the side there, see, it says Golden High Flow Acrylics. These are different than their other paints. They're different than the fluid acrylics, see that? Or the open acrylics. And again, I'm going to explain what all of these mean next week. But these are the new high flows, so these are totally different. Now they're very similar if you have any of their air gun paints. These are very similar. These are very, very watery. They're like almost a pure flow of water. They're very liquidy. I don't know if you can hear that. But it's very, very watery. They're very watery. So, and you work with them with water. So tonight, because I'm using a black background, I have to think differently than when I work with a white background. So when I look at the colors that I have available in my high flows, as you see here, and I don't have them all yet, I'm working on it. This is actually a chart of all of them. Okay, so I'm working on getting a few of them. I got to think about which ones are going to work on this black background. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, this purple's probably not going to work. It's too dark. The dark blue, probably not going to work. It's too dark again. The maroon, again, probably not going to work. It's probably going to be too dark. This green right here, probably, again, might not work because of the background. But I think these will. I think that little group right there will. So I'm going to work with them tonight. And you always need to have a water bottle when you're working with high flows. They work with water, they flow with water, they're friends with water. So I want to make a streak right across the center here. So I'm going to get the center of my page a little wet with just a couple splashes of water. And I'm going to go in with the high flows. And I'm going to shake off camera just because the camera does not like to see shaking. And I'm going to put a couple drops. And if you start with a wet background, it helps a lot to get them flowing. And I'm going to get them flowing again, and I want to make them move. Oh, I should have some napkins. Have a lot of paper towels when you work with this, because I don't really want it flowing off my page. And if they're not, see how this is stopping? You just need to throw a little more water in there and make them move. So these are a lot of fun to work with because you can really play with them and make them move. Okay. So this is why I was saying you definitely wouldn't want to have your center taped. Can somebody tell Thrifty Crafter Mail to click on the start button up on top so that he can start watching the video? Okay, I think I like that. Appreciate that, guys, since I don't have anybody helping me tonight. Okay, now I'm going to go in with another color. I think I want to use, let's go with the orange. Again, I'm going to use a couple drops in here. They do get skins on the top that you have to clean off, so that's what I was doing there. And these are the kind of fluorescent colors. That's why it's going to show up really well on this black background. Again, getting it wet, making it move. Now I do want to have a little bit of movement going down, so I'm going to kind of manipulate it and let it go right there. See that? But I'm going it really slowly because I really don't want it to drip off. I mean, I don't want it to have a lot of drips going down the side there. This is why I was saying about having a paper towels or your friend when you use this. Kind of liking that. How about you guys? I am a design team leader, and I run a few design teams. So if you watch my blog, you'll see when I run design team calls. Now I'm going to come in with yellow on this next one. Oh, how cool that's going to look. Again, getting it wet, letting it move. Trying to manipulate it the way I want it to move. Okay, I think I like that. Now, high flows, the only bad part is you really can't, exactly, somebody just said, won't that take forever to dry? In a way, it does take forever to dry. That's the bad part about using these things. You can use the heat gun a little bit. There is, like I said, there is no, you can heat it, but it moves too much, so I don't like to do that too much. See how it's going to move? I really don't want it to move, so I usually just let it dry by itself. Now I have another plan, so this is okay. So I'm going to let that dry while I go to the next thing I want to use. So I'm going to put this to the side. And I am going to pull up some items that I want to use tonight. Now, I want to do some cool parts. I'm not sure which one of these fairies I'm going to use. I think I'm going to paint them both. So I got some raw chipboard here that I want to use tonight. But I always like to paint my chipboard with white gesso, and then I paint over it. So I'm getting out my white gesso, and I'm just going to real quickly go over these, and I'm going to paint over them again, so I really don't care if I get it perfect. I'm just trying to get some paint on them so I can go over them a little later. And this, just the reason I like to do this with my chipboard is then it doesn't require as much paint when you go over it again. And all of these chipboard pieces that I'm using are from Sin City Stamps, and that's Sin, S-I-N, City, S-I-T-Y, Stamps, S-T-A-M-P-S.com. And they have a lot of these really great chipboard pieces, and I love the fairies. So I planned on using them tonight. Okay. And I know I'm not going to use all those, but that's okay. She has a bunch of other pieces I pulled out, but I don't think I'm going to use. There's a bird, some keys, love the keys, some keyholes. And these are all really nice sized chipboard pieces. Some more keys. There's a bunch of different keys in here. It's one package that I have. See all those really cool keys? So, they are hard to paint with. I got a question from Danielle. It says, can you paint with them, or do you always have to use them with water? You can do a little bit of manipulating on the paint, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. This particular painting right here, these drops of red are the high flows. So on this particular painting, what I did is I did the background. I started off with a white canvas, obviously. I put a bunch of different colors of the high flows on, sprayed it with water, did this thing, moved them all around, got it all pretty. Let that dry. Once that's dry, I went back in with a very intense red high flow, and I tried to manipulate and make my own drops per se. So I dropped a lot of ink instead of just a lot of paint I should say, down, sprayed it so it did run a little bit but not majorly, and got this type of a look. So yes, you can paint with them a little, but they make really cool backgrounds, because if you look at that background is just gorgeous. See all the, that sticker's not supposed to be on there. See all that funness in the background there? That's all the high flows. So kind of. And then I actually came in with a regular acrylic paint and did my stems. So if that, hopefully that helped answered your question there, Danielle. Okay, I want these to dry, so I'm going to pull them out of here. I want to work with these. It's my stuff is still drying over there. I'll dry these real quick. Now again, because of the fact that I'm using a black background, I really want to do some bright colors to show off in the black background. So I am going to go in and paint my fairy here. And again, I don't know which one I'm going to use, so I'm just going to paint them both with fluorescent pink. And I am going to use regular acrylic paint here. She's still real wet in the background. My brush is really stiff. Hold on. See if I can get some. If you have that problem, usually if you wet the brush, and then I always dry the brush again, and that usually helps with the bristles being a little less stiff. So if you have that problem, that's usually what it is. So I am painting my fairy here a really bright fluorescent pink, because she's going to show up. Isn't she just so pretty? I love her. Isn't she pretty? Now, since she is three-dimensional, I am going to kind of go in on the sides and paint in there also. And I'm just going to paint this one because I have her out. Probably not going to use them both, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now I do want to go in with some metallics. I'm going to go in with, hold on here, I want iridescent gold fine. Now I'm going to talk about iridescent gold next week, but this is one of those ones that you can add to your paint collection and it'll do amazing stuff for you. And I'll get more into that next week, but it's a really fun one to add to your collection. And I understand that these paints are all expensive, believe me. And if I use a specialty paint like the iridescent gold, I'll buy a really small tube. See, this is like a 1 ouncer. This will last me forever. And I also always use my 40% off coupon. So I rarely buy paint at full price. And I will try to go in, like, the paint that I will use a lot, like this is one that I just bought last week. This is titanium white. This is one that I'll use a lot of. So I bought the biggest tube I could when I got a 50% off coupon at Michael's. See? That's where I look. And they are expensive, I agree. But I will use that titanium white over and over and over, so it will be worth it to me, because, you know, I will use it, just like buying the big thing of white gesso, because I'll use it over and over. Where black gesso, I'm not going to use that much, so I bought the smaller container. See the difference? So that's how I do it, just to protect myself, or, you know, add to my collection and not have it be too expensive. Okay, now iridescent, what it does is it'll dry almost clear, but it'll give a hint of gold when you turn it a certain way. That's what's fun about the iridescence. And you can actually add the iridescence, and I'll get into this again next week. You can add your iridescence directly into your paints, and they make really fun stuff too. So again, I'm just painting the second one because I have her out. Okay. And those will dry almost clear, but they will have that gold sheen to it, as is showing up very well in the camera. See there? No gold, boom, gold, boom, no gold. See how cool that is? Love it. And she's such a pretty fairy. Okay. Not sure what color I want to do with that. Well, you know, I think I do. I think I'm going to do acrylic. Where's my stamp? Hold on. I'm trying to find my stamp that I'm going to use tonight. My quote stamp. Oh, it might be on the floor here. Okay, here's my quote stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take aqua, or teal, a teal color, because again it's very bright. Oh man, that must be clogged. Paints are all messed up. I gotta clean them. Hate when I do that. You get all that paint in there. I need somebody who's anal to come over there and clean all those out for me. Okay. I'm just going to go around the edge of this one with the teal paint. I'm not going to paint the center. Okay. Now, I don't normally like that look right there, where it's just kind of looks harsh, like it just stopped. So when I see something like that and I don't like the look of it, I will take a baby wipe and I just start in a circular motion, going right around the edges and soften that look up. Because I really want it darker in the edges and lighter as it gets to the center. So sorry about that. Light's really harsh. There we go. A little less harsh on you. See that? So that worked out just the way I wanted it to. Okay, let me clean up here real quick. And I'm going to stamp this quote in the center here. I got a really cute quote. It says, "Keep calm and call your fairy godmother," I think it says. And this is again from Sin City Stamps. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments going by over here, so I'm going to go refresh my page and see what's going on as I ink this up. And I'm using Indian ink over here to ink up so that it is a permanent ink. Yes, Interference Gold was the color I used. I just starting to see some comments. Okay, perfect. See that? See that? Keep calm and call your fairy godmother. I thought that was so cute. Oh, somebody found a great price on multi-packs of high flows. Actually, I have seen them, just for an FYI, also at Michael's, but I've only seen them in a package and not in individuals there yet. But I have seen them at Dick Blick's and any other of your high-end art stores. Okay. I am going to go in. Most of this is dry, but there's just a little here. It doesn't want to dry, so I'm going to force it. Okay, I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. Okay, coming in with my pieces now. I know I'm going to build a little. Wow, that's just really, really not a good view, huh? What if I turn this one off? It's a little darker, but if it works for you guys, I'm happy. I'm going to make a little cluster here, I think. My idea. Oops, sorry to get my arm out of the way there. So I got some flowers. You know, your Michael's Mite, I actually just found them last week, and they were only, there was only one pack, and they were in the, you know how Michael's has a craft art section and then they have a good art section? It was over there in the good paints, and they only had it in the whatchamacallit, they only had it in the packages, not the individuals. Okay, so I'm pulling out some little flowers I'm going to use. Again, these are all really bright colors, so they'll work really well for my page here. And I'm trying to use things that are very flat because I don't want a lot of dimension, because this is an art journal. If this was a canvas, I'd be having a lot more fun and doing a lot more dimension with it. So think about the same technique, but do it in a canvas, and you can do it a lot more more dimensional. Okay, I got a stamp out. This is a stamp from Sin City Stamps, and it's a wire, I guess. I'm going to use it sideways. And I'm using white paint because, or white paint, sorry. White ink, because I'm using a black background. And I just want some more diagonalness going on here. That's why I hardly ever use, when I art journal, use a, I don't get as good of a stamp if I use a backing than if I use my hands. Perfect. Okay. And I also want to use, I've got a, again from Sin City Stamps, this is a Italian love poem, and it's just text in Italian words. So I'm going to put this towards me for just a second and do some just random stamping. Again, not inking my whole thing up, not getting a full press on there, just getting some fun dimension around the page. Stamping more than once. Okay, I like that. Okay, I got a nice little randomness going on around there. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to go around this edge though with some Indian Gold Metallic from Viva. Yes, a canvas, molding paste, and high flows are absolutely amazing together. I've actually done something similar to that. It's really a lot of fun. What I'm doing, sorry, I was out of camera there. I'm just going around the edge with this, it's kind of a coppery color. Just around the edge. Just to give it a little bit. Here's a really good tip. If you have any of these Indian Gold Metallic rub-ons, they go dry really easily. So if you take a baby wipe, see my baby wipe, and you put it inside of your container, when you put the lid on, it will help to keep them moist. So I do that all the time. The white ink that I am using is Stuart Superior's palette, and it's called New Canvas. I hear that Stays On has one, but honestly, I've never found it in a store, so I just never bought it. And I happen to have that one, works well, so now at this point, I'm just kind of setting up my page. I'm going to put some metal in here, and I also have all kinds of stuff on my desk that I'm thinking about using. These I think are going to turn out to be too big, so I think I'm going to go not use those. But I have some really cool metal pieces that I'm just going to kind of build in here. And these are all kinds of miscellaneous metal pieces I get at Michael's, like these gears. These are actually Tim Holtz's gears. But I found these gears at Michael's once. I love these clocks. I found these. I go into the jewelry section all the time and find these kind of pieces. Okay, the only thing I'm not liking is they're different colors, so I'm going to have to work with that. Or, I think I'm not going to put those in there. Okay, I'm going to go back into my flowers here. Since we're going with a fairy theme, I think I'm going to go with flowers. These are tiny, tiny little flowers from Prima. Tiny little flowers, but you could punch them out. Sorry about my arm there. And I'm also going to use, I love dewdrops. Does everybody love dewdrops? Is the ink like Stays On? Their palette line from Stuart Superior is a hybrid ink, so it is similar and it will stay on your page. These are dewdrops, and they're from the Robin's Nest, And they have a flat back and a domed roundness to them. They're great for flowers, centers of flowers. They actually have minis. These are the large. But I'm just going to use them. Actually, I'm going to use all silver. I'm just going to use them as an accent on my page. See, nothing too fancy, just an accent. Keep a couple more there, just in case I decide I need more. Okay, kind of liking where that's going. You can also use, if you don't have the Indian ink metallics, you can get something called Rub and Buff at Michael's. Those will also work. I'm going to use it. This is the patina. I'm going to use it. You just take a tiny little bit, and I'm going to put it on this metal piece here, just to have it get a little bit of agedness to it. See that? Because I didn't like how harsh it was. Now it stands out a little better on the page than the other one. Does pouring medium make regular acrylic paint similar to high flows? Pouring medium will act, not really. Yes and no. Pouring medium is a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's one of those ones that's really hard to do on camera because it takes so long to dry. But it's a let's see if I can show it to you. How about this, guys? How about next week when I do that paint thing, when I talk to you guys all about paints, I will bring high flows, or I will bring pouring medium out. I will bring a lot of the mediums out also, and we will talk about all the different mediums and what they do, okay? So we will do no art journal next week. We will just play with paints and tell you why you should use one paint over another, okay? And what I'm doing right now is just gluing my parts down. So I know I'm kind of not answering your question, and I apologize for that. Yes, you can definitely use pouring molding paste through stencils and lots of stuff. Molding paste is a lot of fun to play with. And I'll talk about that next week too, and the different types of molding paste and why there's different types of molding paste, etc., etc. Okay, so right now I'm just going through and gluing down my pieces. And honestly, I'm using Elmer's glue because it was on my desk. And I don't really necessarily care that it is going to be acid free because this isn't a scrapbook, so I don't really care. And Elmer's glue will glue everything down, so yay. Okay, I'm going to have to probably put a book on her, hold her down. Her feet don't want to stay down. She wants to fly. Fly, sweetie. Oh, don't want you sitting over the words. Move. Okay. Probably going to have to put a book on her to get her to stay down a little better there. So, you could use fluid acrylic. If I was going to tell you how to replace high flows, I would say fluid acrylics. Fluid acrylics come in the ones that are like this, and they say down right there, see, fluid acrylics. So if I was going to take and replace something, I'd use fluid acrylics, and then I would use either, hold on, I'm looking for the medium I need. Polymer medium will water down your high flows, and this is pouring medium. So real quickly, what time is it? Okay. So this is basically my page. I'm going to put that to the side, let it all dry, and we're going to grab that and play a little. Okay, so if I took a background and I got it real wet and I used fluid acrylics, because fluid acrylics are watery, I could put a couple drops down and making sure my background was good and wet, and I can water them down too. See, they're going to do kind of the same thing. See how they're going to flow? They're not going to flow as much as the high flows because they're thicker. And remember, the one bad thing about watering down acrylic paints is what happens when you water down acrylic paints. Acrylic has polymer in it, and they're like little round balls. Okay, and these little round balls stick together, and that's what it sticks to the substrate or your canvas. If you water it down, these little balls go like this. They separate, and then they have nothing to adhere them down. So you need to be careful when you do that. If you use something like a retardant allows yes, those were Prima flowers, allows your paints and stuff to stay wet for longer, so you can manipulate them a little more by having them wet longer. Trying to find a clean brush here. So if you mixed your retardants in with your acrylic paints, they would go further and they are going to get wet longer. They're going to stay wet longer and you can manipulate them more. So if you watered them down, you'd have a little better. Now, the one that would probably work the best is polymer medium. Now, what did I just teach you? I just taught you that polymer was in acrylic paints. So this particular product right here is basically what people call naked paint. What that means is it's paint without pigment. So it's the exact same thing that we were just playing with. So if I put some polymer medium down, that is basically naked paint, right? It has no medium to it. Now I add acrylic paint to it, a fluid acrylic paint, and mix those two together. They're going to extend the paint. Now it's got more polymers in it, so it's going to stay together long. So now that when I water it down, guess what? I have more polymers. It's going to stick together better. I hope that helped. And it still will flow. See how it's still going to move for me? See that? The other thing that you could use to replace high flows is Tim Holtz's distress paints, because they're actually designed to flow with water. So if I took the acrylic, his paints, and I dabbed them onto my piece of paper here and got them wet, they will flow. See how they are designed to flow? That's what they are designed to do. I can get them really, really wet and move them around, and they will mix together and become, one basically. Okay? Well, thank you for the Q page. I know we kind of moved that page away really quickly, but I kind of wanted to give you an idea of what you could do with it. So you could use Tim's Distress Paints, or you could water down your polymer paints. Just be careful how much you water them down. So that's my quick lesson, and we'll do a much better lesson next week. Let me bring our page back up here. Hold on. Lots and lots of paint here. Okay. I just got to glue a few more pieces down here because she needs some weight. to glue her down. She doesn't want to stay down. She wants to fly because she's a fairy. These little tiny flowers, yes, are Prima. And I'm going to glue down my dewdrops also. And I actually had some bigger flowers, but I don't think I'm going to use them. I think I like the little ones. So I'm going to glue her down a little better and go from there. Okay, I am going to switch cameras. So hold on here. Okay. Oh, that looks really bad. Sorry about that. Oh well, still in that corner. Anyways, don't look at that. Anyways, thank you very much. And again, next week we will not do, we will just talk about paints. I'll talk about how to extend your paints, how to buy just a few, what first ones you should buy, how to mix them. I'll talk all about the mediums and how to work with each of the mediums. So we'll do that next week instead of having an art, or instead of doing an art journal, we'll just do that. So hopefully I didn't miss anybody's questions. Thanks everybody for joining me, and I will do a prize next week also. Okay, thank you. Bye. Give me a thumbs up. Bye.